Hello again, friends, and welcome back to another review slash achievement talk for another game. This time it is Final Fantasy V. So Final Fantasy V is a 1992 developed Square game that came out on the SNES. Previous to playing the remastered version, I hadn't finished this game before. I had played it before, but I've never actually got to a point where I'd finished it. So for me, this was a first. It was one of two games in the Final Fantasy series that I had left that I hadn't actually finished. Luckily now there's only one. But yeah, it follows Bartz and his party trying to save the world. The interesting point with this one is the job system, which they brought back from 3. The job system in this one's done really well. You do the various different jobs like Knight, Monk, White Mage, Black Mage, whatever. You learn the abilities. They've got several levels to them, and then once you've learned all the abilities and stuff, you can go to Freelancer and you kind of get all of those buffs all at once. So learning all the jobs and then going back to being jobless is kind of like the whole thing of the game, which is pretty cool. Other than that, the story's a bit bland. As I said, it's just kind of a generic sort of, oh, the crystals are back. You must protect the crystals. We're doing damage to the world, and then like you unseal X-Death because of these crystals smashing, and then go to one of the characters' worlds, Galof. You go to like his world, and X-Death's there, messes everything up, and then merges the two worlds together. So it's kind of like, okay, and then he's trying to call on the power of the void, and like it's really cheesy in that sort of way. It's like there wasn't really much gripping me with the story. It was kind of, as I said, it's a little bit bland. You can sort of see where they were going with the game as well, where they started messing about with like character reactions as well. So there's that sort of progress as well with like the characters will look surprised and stuff like that, or they'll look sad, which weren't in the previous game. And as I said, like with the job system's really well implemented. There's obviously quite a lot of iconic music in the game. There's Battle on Big Bridge is obviously one of the ones that quite a few people always come back to as being one of the most iconic pieces of Final Fantasy music. And then there's obviously the recurring character Gilgamesh, who gets sent to a void and then shows up in like several different Final Fantasy games over the years. He shows up in Type 0, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, he shows up again. Stranger of Paradise, he's in that. Final Fantasy VIII, he comes back again. So there's like this recurring character of Gilgamesh. But yeah, as well, like the characters are all kind of just like, Bartz is just like this lone wanderer who just happens to end up becoming the chosen one, and then two of the other characters are princesses. One of them's like this long lost princess who became a pirate after like it was believed she was dead, and Lena, her sister, has always been brought up as being like the princess in the castle, and Galuf's the only one that's kind of like interesting in that he was part of like the original Dawn Warriors who sealed away X-Death, but he starts off the game with amnesia, so you kind of don't know that until like it's convenient for the plot. Story-wise and stuff like that, I really don't rate Final Fantasy V very highly. I'd still rate it above quite a few other games in the series just because of the job system, but it's quite low on the list for me. It did take a while to actually get through the game, but yeah, let's talk about the achievements. So again, with these achievements, the majority of them are cut and paste from the other Pixel remasters, so I'll be going over quite a lot of the same stuff again. Again, the boosts run for times 4 job experience, times 4 character experience, times 4 gil, just to get through the game a little bit quicker. It still took forever, but yeah, so you've got story related ones straight away. Save Lennart and Galuf and get them to join your party. That's 2 of the other character members, so you start off with like a party of 3. Obtain 10,000 gil, self-explanatory. 100 monsters, self-explanatory. See power from the wind crystal, so you find out that the wind crystal's like smashed to pieces, which is one part of the seal for Galuf, one part of the seal for Exdeath, which you find out later on in the game. The various different crystal shards give you the various different jobs, so you unlock quite a few straight away, so like Knight, Monk, White Mage, Black Mage, Red Mage, Blue Mage. 10% of the chests, mastered one of the jobs. Self-explanatory, one of the jobs you just need to learn all the abilities for. 10% of the bestiary entries. Again, like going through the game, there's chests and bestiary entries that you can miss, that you can be locked out of because you go to one-time only areas. Receive power from the water crystal. Again, more jobs. 100,000 gil. Receive power from the fire crystal. More jobs. Learnt 10 kinds of blue magic techniques, so just trying to remember whether there's blue magic in any of the other games. I think it's in 3. But basically these are enemy techniques. If an enemy uses a technique on you, you can learn it if you've got learn on, or if you're a blue mage. So it's like stuff like Aqua Breath, level 5 death, that sort of stuff. It's just like enemy techniques. Master 5 different kind of jobs. Discovered a black chocobo. This is actually story related. You have to find the black chocobo to be able to progress to like the next story beat anyway. And then obtain an airship, which is, I mean, it's basically the same. The black chocobo flies rather than it just being on land, and then obviously you've got the airship. The black chocobo can only land in forests, which helps a bit later on in the game for finding particular areas and stuff that you can go to, because the airship can't land on forests or desert tiles. 500,000 gil, 1,000 monsters. Receive the rest of the jobs from the earth crystal. By this point you've got all of the jobs apart from one, and there's like a secret one that you can only get at, like on the world 3. Arrive in Galuf's world. Galuf's world is world 2. Story beat again. Like once all the crystals smash, Galuf remembers his purpose and like travels back to his own world. Mastered 15 different kinds of jobs. 2,000 monsters. 50% of the bestiary. Obtain a submarine. So again, another story beat. You eventually get a submarine so you can travel around underneath the ocean, and there's like various different caves and stuff under there. 50% of the chests. Creole received Galuf's abilities, so one of the story beats in the game is that Creole's about to die, and Galuf, being a grandfather, is like, no, I will not allow this Exdeath. And then he gets super powered up and fights Exdeath and ends up dying, and gives his abilities to Creole, who's his granddaughter. Reach level 50 for all party members. Self-explanatory. Defeated Exdeath and returned to the original world. So at the end of world 2, you fight Exdeath, and then he merges the 2 worlds together and sends you back, basically to the original world. Become a master pianist. So throughout the game, in the various different towns and stuff, some of the pubs will have a piano, or there'll be like a hidden piano somewhere in the town. you have to play all 8 of them, and playing all 8 of them will not only get you 2 bard songs, but also gets you this achievement. Obtain the secret job class. So there's a mimic job class that you can get later on in the game. This is basically the last job that you get. So obviously you got mastered all the jobs. Obtained all 12 sealed weapons. So in this one, because there's so many different jobs, there's so many different weapons and stuff. So yeah, there are 4 dungeons that you do to get a tablet, and each tablet will then break the seal for 3 of the weapons. So you have to do all 4 of these dungeons to unlock all the sealed weapons. You don't have to do this to finish the game, but it does imply that you kind of need to get these sealed weapons in order to defeat Exdeath. Learned all of the blue magic techniques, self-explanatory, you just need to learn all of them. I don't think there was any missable ones. I think you can still get them all kind of at the end of the game, but following a guide, a spoiler-free guide, again, I use RPG Fan as a guide for like hidden items and stuff, or bestiary entries I might miss, which again, obtain all hidden items. The last 10 hidden items will be in the Phoenix Tower if you've got everything else up to like a certain point. Something that was added for Final Fantasy V is the super boss. The super bosses, yeah, they weren't previously in these games before this, and so they added them for Final Fantasy V. These are bosses that are much stronger than any other boss in the game. I struggled with Omega really badly. I did eventually beat him by like using a combination of Mighty Guard and White Wind and Thunder Sword, and like breaking his defense and stuff like that. As you can see, I've got the achievement. So he also counts towards the bestiary, so you kind of have to fight him anyway. But yeah, Omega was the difficult one. Travel to all map locations. There's like various different chocobo forests and stuff that you need to make sure you travel to. Again, there's places that you can miss completely if you don't go to them. So following a guide is recommended. Defeated Shinryu. I did this first attempt. Omega took like 8 or 9 different attempts before I managed to get like the strategy down. Whereas Shinryu, beat first time, no problem. Collect treasure from 100% of the treasure chests, so again, following a guide is quite useful. Defeated Neo Exdeath and restored peace to the world. I had no difficulty with Neo Exdeath. I had more difficulty with Omega, so yeah. That's the final boss for the game, and then once you do that, you unlock 100% of the bestiary entries. So yeah, that was Final Fantasy V. As of recording this, I've got one more Final Fantasy game that I've never completed, which is Final Fantasy XII. So I will probably play that sometime. Whilst I'm recording this, it's 2024. This probably won't go out until next year now. But yeah, I will probably play Final Fantasy XII sometime next year. As I said, that's the last Final Fantasy game main entry that's not an MMO that I've not completed. You can't really complete the MMOs anyway. But yeah, as always, if you did like this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you for watching. The watch hours really help, and I will see you in the next video.